Fridays at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback podcast time. Welcome to the show, everyone. Talk up 49ers. And it's nice to talk about a 49ers victory, and a 49ers victory over a Chicago Bears defense that has played pretty well this year. Yet the 49ers go off for 38 points. It was a tremendous performance by the 49ers, and something that pretty much everyone's been waiting for to happen this season. We just hadn't seen the 49ers click and really be able to explode and kind of kick the doors down on the opposing football team, but they were able to do it in this matchup. And it's always fun when you come out of a win like the 49ers had to look at the great performers and how some of these guys are trending. And we're seeing some young guys be able to step up and make plays for this football team when they are needed. Now, of course, with all things, it's a revolving door. It feels like that every single week somebody has to step up and make something happen. Somebody has to make a play that we weren't even expecting to play. So for the 49ers, the war of attrition has been huge for this football team, and they've got injuries all over the place. But with that comes opportunity, and I feel like some players have seized opportunity. For others, they didn't seize it, and now they're getting replaced by a player returning. And guess what? This week we're going to have more guys returning. It looks like Dre Greenlaw is going to be back against the Rams. So trending in the right direction for some of the 49ers as far as getting back out there on the field. And I think you're starting to see some of the effects of those players getting back out there on the field. But you had to have tremendous performances to be able to do what the 49ers did. Whenever you can outgain a football team by over 300 yards in the first half, you're doing something right. Anytime you look up and the opposing team has 2 yards of offense at halftime, you're doing something extremely right. The San Francisco 49ers utterly dominated this football game in the first half. Now, in the second half, yeah, Chicago got some things going, and they made a few plays, but still, the 49ers made more plays. The 49ers made more big plays on offense, more plays on defense, created turnovers against a team that does not turn over the football. The Chicago Bears were the only team under 500 who was plus 10 in turnover differential. They were the number 1 red zone defense in the league, one of the top 5 red zone offenses in the league. And the San Francisco went in and blew their barn doors off and absolutely dominated this football game, going down and scoring at will. This was a tremendous performance that the 49ers need to build upon, and it's a quick turnaround. Thursday Night Football, Los Angeles Rams must win for the 49ers. If they win, they are going to exit that game 7-7 and back at 500 and in the mix in the playoffs in the NFC and in the NFC West. And for the Rams, they would fall to 7-7. So the 49ers know they have a must win. But let's talk about this Bears victory because it was a lot of fun. We're going to get into that in just 1 second. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. If you're listening audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network, please give it a 5-star rating. And if you're going to bet with Bet Online. Bet Online continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball to NHL to UFC. Head to Bet Online today and don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here. And for me, I want to start on the offensive side of the ball. So we're going to go with the offensive players that have stock up. And I want to start with Isaac Guerendo because we talked about players being out and others having the opportunity to step up. And Guerendo absolutely seized that opportunity. He ran the ball successfully on the ground, 14 carries, over 75 yards. It was successful. He was taking what's there. He was getting the extra yards after contact. He was getting into the end zone with 2 rushing touchdowns. It was a great performance, but it wasn't just Isaac Guerendo in the run game. It was also Isaac Guerendo in the passing game. Catches the check down on the opening drive, able to get a good gain. Then he's got a matchup on a linebacker, and Brock Purdy throws it over the top, and he's got to locate the football and go get it, and he does, and gets the ball down to the 1-yard line. Isaac Guerendo did what he was supposed to do. He filled in like a capable running back, and I might say looked like a starting running back in this game. Now, we do know that Isaac Guerendo leaves this game with a foot injury. MRI tests are incoming. The x-rays were good news for the 49ers, but MRI results will come soon. Kyle Shanahan will talk to the media, and then we'll get an idea of what's happening with Guerendo. Right now, the thought is that he has a sprained foot. That could hold him out of the Thursday game against the Rams, which would be very unfortunate because of how well he played. I would really love to see Isaac Guerendo build off this performance, and we could see who this running back is as he gets more and more confidence in this 49ers offense. But it was a tremendous showing. And when you come into a football game and you're a rookie running back, and you really haven't started a lot of games in college or in the pros, you have opportunities to make plays and you go do it. It tells the team who you are, that no moment's too big. And he carries himself like he's supposed to be there, like he's supposed to make these plays. And I love seeing that from the young guy because the 49ers are going to have to count on him in the future. And maybe right now, hopefully the injury's not significant. We'll find out. If you're listening to this, the information could have already come out. But as of time of recording, it was not. So this is something interesting for Guerendo, but I really liked what he did in this football game. And you just see that speed element that he provides. But not just that, is you see what they were seeing for Isaac Guerendo when it comes to his effect in the passing game. You got to step over the middle of the field. Boom, you can take it, 20 extra yards on the ground. You got to step on a linebacker down the field, and you can get up the field vertically. It was a great showing from Isaac Guerendo. Was a really big fan of what he did. Now, stock up 49er, Brock Purdy. And, it's interesting. There was a lot of people starting to question Brock Purdy being a franchise caliber quarterback. Should he get the 49ers a full extension? And it's interesting. There's a video that comes out that says, hey, the 49ers shouldn't extend Brock Purdy. And then you get Adam Schefter saying the 49ers fully intend to extend Brock Purdy in the offseason. And I think this game goes to show why the 49ers would extend Brock Purdy, because Brock Purdy, once again, had one of those garden variety Brock Purdy games. And I say garden variety because it just seems like this guy shows up and plays so well. He was 20 of 25 in this football game for 325 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he nearly had a rushing touchdown as well, called back on the Ricky Pearsall holding penalty. Not sure that should have been a holding penalty. Also not sure that Brock Purdy shouldn't have just given it to Guerendo for what would have been a touchdown, but he got into the end zone himself. But it was Brock Purdy doing the things that he does well. Getting the ball out of his hands, finding his playmakers, short, intermediate, trying to go deep, just really taking what the defense gave him. He felt in rhythm. He felt like he was under control the entire time. No passes really way off. It was a little miss here or there, but for the most part, he looked on target, and he looked really comfortable in the pocket. Now, he did take a wicked hit, and I believe that one shook him up a little bit, but he came right back. He responded. He battled. He competed. And I think that's exactly what the 49ers needed from their quarterback, to step up in this moment. When your back is firmly against the wall, how are you going to respond? And Brock Purdy responded with one of his best football games of the season. And I thought it was a good showing and something he can build upon, because we got, once again, a quick turnaround against the Rams. And he's going to have to be ready to go out there, because the 49ers offense is going to have to score points against the Rams if they want to win. But that was really good to see. And another stock up, not a player, but an aspect to the 49ers game, was the red zone offense. I brought up earlier that the Chicago Bears were one of the best teams. Well, they were the number one defense in not allowing red zone touchdowns. 40% of the time they gave up red zone touchdowns. 49ers came into this game one of the bottom teams in the league as far as scoring touchdowns in the red zone at 48%. Yet the 49ers go 5 of 6 in the red zone. And the one that wasn't converted, we talked about the Ricky Pearsall holding call. Whether you think that's holding or not, that is the only one. They nearly went 6 for 6, and 5 of 6 is plenty good enough to win a football game. They did so good in the red zone. It was very impressive to see what they were doing. They got the ball to Jawan Jennings. They got the ball. They're running the ball so much better in the lower red zone, that 10 yards in, where they were able to get touchdowns from Isaac Rendo, touchdown from Patrick Taylor Jr. in the fourth quarter. It was just a very significant change the way the 49ers were operating inside that red zone. So it was a good thing to see and something the 49ers can build upon. And if you're going to win and you're going to make a run over the next 4 games, you have to be very good inside the red zone. You have to convert on touchdowns. Touchdowns win football games. And when you do things like you did against the Chicago Bears, you put them in a situation where they can't execute the way that they want to, and they can't stay balanced on offense. We saw that the third quarter drive coming at a half, and they stayed balanced. And everyone's talking about how great it was. 16 plays, almost 9 minutes that leads to a touchdown. And you know what? That's wonderful if it's a 1-score game or a 2-score game. The problem was you were down 24-0, and you used 9 minutes of the clock. And I know that Nick Sorensen and the 49ers would have loved to have stopped them for a field goal or stopped them in general. But when you take 9 minutes off the clock and you shorten the game that significantly, you're living with the balance. You just don't want to give up an explosive play. So you play a little bit looser in coverage. You play a little bit softer when it comes to men in the box. And that's exactly what the 49ers did, but they took advantage of situations. So it was a very good showing from the 49ers in the red zone. Now let's talk about the all-pro tight end, George Kittle, who just continues to have his entire stock up for this season. He had 6 catches for 151 yards, over 25 yards per catch average, getting screens, getting intermediate throws. George Kittle was making third down catches. He was doing it all. The one thing he didn't do was score a touchdown, was a little surprising. Now, I did think that the Bears were going to pay a lot of attention to George Kittle. If you go back and watch the game preview show, I talked about the fact that Kittle may get a lot of attention in the red zone. They might double him and try to take him away. And so there would be opportunities for other players to potentially get touchdowns. That's exactly what happened in this football game. So Kittle is just an absolute beast. He is the best tight end in football. He's the most dynamic playmaker at the tight end position. And he just proved again that when you get the ball to him in space, he can make things happen. So really good to see from George Kittle that he just continues to elevate his game. And they're going to need to rely on George Kittle down the stretch. These remaining 4 games are going to have to be Kittle big games because Brock Purdy has got to rely on Kittle. Jawan Jennings, especially, those 2 guys have been his comfort blanket. And for George Kittle, he's been the dynamic force on the 49ers offense so far. And without Christian McCaffrey, you have to get the explosiveness somewhere. And we've seen Kittle be able to do it consistently throughout his career. And he's doing it again here in 2024, where he's playing at an all-pro caliber level. Maybe the only all-pro on the San Francisco 49ers. At least that's how they'll probably get voted. Maybe Fred Warner, will see, but George Kittle has lived up to that expectation. He's outplayed Travis Kelce. He is by far the best tight end in football. And yes, I know Brock Powers is having a good season, and it's a good rookie season, but the same way Sam Laporta wasn't better than George Kittle last year, Brock Bowers is not better than George Kittle this year. The consistency from Brock Purdy to George Kittle, it's just been so good. They have a real chemistry together. But I can't go without mentioning Jawan Jennings as well. He goes 7 catches on 8 targets for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just phenomenal. The first touchdown of the game, it's Jawan. He's coming across and he catches the ball in the intermediate route. Really good. The next one, he runs an in-cut, beats Kyler Gordon, the nickel corner, catches the ball, gets into the end zone. It was just a very good showing from Jawan Jennings. He is more than just third in Jawan now. He's pretty much third in everything, or Jawan and everything and Jawan, whatever we want to call him, but he's doing it all right now, and he has fully affected games playing that X position for the 49ers. What kind of production were you going to get from a player playing in place of Brandon Ayuk? What we're getting is Jawan Jennings elevating his game and making plays and playing at a high level. He's not just a blocker who catches on third down anymore. He's a complete wide receiver. You need him to win on third down? Done. You need him to get a big catch over the middle, done. You still want him to make that big-time block? He can do that too. Jauan Jennings makes plays when you need him to make them. So he has been huge. And when you have a 1-2 punch like you have with him and George Kittle, you've got an offense that can consistently move the ball through the air. And I think you saw that on display. Brock worked the offense through them. He sprinkled in some throws to Ricky Pearsall, some to Deebo Samuel, some to Isaac Guerrero. And what you got was a very prolific and potent offense against a very good Chicago Bears defense. This Chicago Bears defense was not bad. Their one weakness, especially, was when it came to stopping the rushing attack. They weren't able to do that. The 49ers ran well with Guerrero and Patrick Taylor and others, but the 49ers took advantage of them in the passing game. They haven't been this bad against the passing game all season. They haven't been this bad against the team on third down, where the 49ers were 50% on third down. That is better than their normal rate this season. So we just saw utter execution from the 49ers offense, and it was good to see. We've been talking about for weeks that it just felt like they were just a little bit behind, not quite there, not clicking, not executing at a high level. They executed in this one, and Jauan Jennings and George Kittle were a big reason why. I want to talk about Jalen Moore as a stock-up 49er, because here we are in his third game as a starter, and we're not mentioning him in a negative light. And whenever you're an offensive lineman and you're not getting mentioned, that's good news, because you do not want to be on a highlight reel of you getting beat and them getting to the quarterback. So the fact that Jalen Moore once again played a pretty much good football game, that's great news. Is it perfect? No. But you're talking about a backup offensive tackle that's not losing you football games. And in fact, the 49ers offensive line did a pretty good job in this game first watch. Of course, once I break into the All-22, I'll get a better picture play-to-play. But it was great news because Jalen Moore needed to be consistent for the 49ers to have a chance to win football games, and he has been more so. So Chris Foerster put a lot of respect on his name early in training camp, talked about how confident they were in Jalen Moore, and the fact that Jalen Moore gets all the reps during training camp and that he's going to be prepared. They have a lot of confidence in him, and I think that confidence has been proven right. Jalen Moore once again steps in place of Trent Williams and plays a good football team. It's not great. It's not Trent Williams style play. No one can duplicate that, but it is consistent play, and that's what Chris Foerster talks about. You need to have guys who can play consistent, and Jalen Moore is doing that for sure. So 3 straight solid outings for Jalen Moore. Great news. Now, for Ben Bartch, this was an exciting opportunity. I thought we were going to get to see Ben Bartch step in and have another good game, and I wanted to see what was the difference between the snow game. Did the snow help him out against defensive linemen like Ed Oliver, who maybe couldn't move as quickly with lateral quickness? How was that going to translate into this football game? Well, he goes down in the first quarter with an ankle injury. Kyle Shanahan said it's a high ankle sprain. We know that means his season is probably done. But the 49ers, what do? Right? Who do you go to? John Feliciano, he stayed on the IR. Is it Nick Zakelj? Is it Spencer Burford? Well, it was Spencer Burford. And I've got to give Spencer Burford a lot of credit, because early on in this season, when he came into left guard, it wasn't good. It was not that great. But I thought in this situation, he stepped in, he was prepared, and he played good football. Was it great football? Once again, no. Were there mistakes? Absolutely. But what we saw was a guy who competed, who helped the 49ers consistently be able to move the football on the ground, who held up when it came to pass protection. That's exactly what you needed. You needed him to step in. He did it, and the 49ers, once again, were able to go through with a makeshift left offensive line, left side, and run the football consistently and be able to give solid pass protection to Brock Purdy, who was sacked one time on the day for 4 yards. And we know that Brock Purdy extends plays. Brock Purdy will use his legs to escape certain situations, but there was nothing that stood out that was just so bad that you're like, wow, that's egregious. Spencer Burford played bad, or Jalen Moore. I thought they did a pretty good job in this game, which is great news. So I got stock up for Spencer Burford. Now, I do believe that Aaron Banks could be back this week. It was close, I think, this time. Seen him on the sidelines, but he has to clear concussion protocol still. If he clears concussion protocol, he's probably in line to play Thursday against the Rams. If he does not, it will be Spencer Burford playing left guard for the San Francisco 49ers again. Now let's flip over to the defensive side of the football where we had some cool performers, and one of those guys, Talanoa Hufanga. And boy, was it awesome to see Talanoa Hufanga back in the lineup for the San Francisco 49ers. This is exactly what they needed because they have been getting inconsistent safety play all season. Hufanga came back in after injury in week 3, but it wasn't that much longer, and he was back out. And over that time, we've seen Malik Mustafa come in and kind of establish himself as a stalwart at safety and play really well as a rookie. But the inconsistencies from Jair Brown keep popping up week after week. And it was starting to get a little bit frustrating to see that one part of the safety room just wasn't working out very well. So Hufanga had been kind of up in the air. Is he going to come back? Is he not? Is he going to have to wear a wrist brace, a cast? What's going to have to happen? Well, last week they opened the practice window, and guess what? Hufanga is activated and ready to go in the game, and they start him from the beginning. And boy, was it a significant change getting Hufanga inside the box, making tackles, but also the comfort level with him in coverage. This was very good for the 49ers. And it starts making you think about the best safety room for the 49ers right now is Hufanga and Malik Mustafa. In fact, when Jair Brown went back in, and I understand why you do, you're up big against the Chicago Bears, and you don't want to give up on Jair Brown. Let's pull Hufanga off, right? Let's put Jair in. Hufanga just came back from injury. Let's work him in. That's very smart. Let's get Jair some plays here. And you know what? Jair didn't live up to expectation. A lot of people upset that Jair Brown was in the game. I was not. I was upset with his play. I was not upset that he's in the game because I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to get him some more work, have some good film to work on. Maybe he can have some big plays that they can build upon, but also get Hufanga out of the game. He played, he did his job. Now get him out because he's going to have a quick turnaround, and we're still working on getting him back into shape to be able to play 50-plus snaps per game. So the understanding of that made a lot of sense, but Hufanga was big for the 49ers. I think he played well. It helped Malik Mustafa play well. That was big on the back end for the 49ers, getting Hufanga back. 29 back there was huge, and who knows? Depending on how Hufanga plays over the next 4 games, I think he will play well. The 49ers might be calling Hufanga about an extension and going with the Hufanga-Malik Mustafa pairing at safety because it was far superior to what we've seen from Jair Brown so far. And I don't think they can put their eggs in that basket of Jair and Malik anymore. I don't think Jair has lived up to that expectation. Sticking to the defensive side, how about Yetur Gross-Matos? This season, there was a lot of hype about him coming from Carolina. He was going to play the Arden Key role. He's going to play outside on early downs, move inside on obvious pass downs, and rush against guards. He did that so well last year at Carolina. 4.5 sacks in his season. Everybody super excited. And then in the last preseason game, he dealt with a knee injury. And so he was out for a little while, came back, and then it just wasn't the same. You could tell he just wasn't healthy, didn't have the explosion, didn't have the ability that he needed to get after the quarterback or play the edge against the run as well. So he went back on IR. Now, when he came back this time, it was the right Yetur Gross-Matos, and now we're starting to see the effects of Gross-Matos, who had 3 sacks in this football game. How about that? Gross-Matos got 1 sack from the inside, which, we basically knew was going to happen with the interior of the Bears' offensive line the way they were, not built on speed. He was going to have a big advantage when it came to lateral quickness. He did, but also back-to-back sacks on a fourth-quarter drive against Caleb Williams. One where he just absolutely works his way in with some good moves and good persistence. The other one, he just goes right over the top of Braxton Jones and drives him straight into Caleb Williams. It reminded me so much of another 94 in Justin Smith. Just completely walk him back, reach over the top and grab him. Fantastic play. And Gross-Matos has 3 sacks. And here we go. Gross-Matos trending in the right direction. Barely played this season. 4 sacks for Yetur Gross-Matos. And I know 3 of them are in one game, but let's hope this is a signal in the right direction as he can continue to bring pressure. And it's hopeful for what he could be next year in this system. So Gross-Matos coming on the scene and making some plays, and he's not the only one. How about Leonard Floyd? Leonard Floyd once again gets 2 sacks in this game. So the Buffalo Bills game in the snow, no one really generated pressure. But other than that, basically since Seattle, Leonard Floyd has been generating pressure and getting after the quarterback consistently. And don't look up now, but Leonard Floyd has 6.5 sacks. It's a very sneaky 6.5, but most of them have came in the last 4 games. None against the Bills, but Seattle, Green Bay, and then, of course, this week against the Bears, he's gotten after the quarterback, and that's where he's gotten all of his sacks, really, week one. And then after that, it was kind of like a long stretch before he got back on the mark. So this has been good. Leonard Floyd, Yetur Gross-Matos, both free agent signings the 49ers had high expectations for. Now that they've worked within the system, it feels like they're trending in the right direction, and maybe the 49ers can get more pressure from those two guys in the remaining 4 games. They're going to need it, because if they want to have a shot at the playoffs, they need to win a lot of football games, and there's 4 left. You really would like to win 4. That will be a tough ask, but that's what these guys could do if they can get after the quarterback. Now, another defensive tackle I want to talk about is Malik Collins. I called for a Malik Collins sack, and he did get a sack. He got in there really nicely and made a good play. So Malik Collins continues to play impressive football from the interior defensive line spot. And guess what? He has equaled his career high in sacks. Last season, he had 5 sacks for the Houston Texans. Really good performance. He has 5 sacks already this season with 4 games remaining. It looks like he could have a career year for the 49ers, and that's without him rushing next to Javon Hargrave. Imagine if Javon Hargrave was still healthy. If Nick Bosa had been playing, Malik Collins might have 7 or 8 sacks right now. So the guy is playing at a high level. He's got a high motor. 49ers got to be super excited about Gross-Matos, Leonard Floyd, and Malik Collins and what they've provided this defensive line as they've sort of started getting after the quarterback a little bit more. Collins has been consistent all season, and I would argue that he's by far been the 49ers' best defensive tackle, and it ain't even close. So really excited to see what he has been doing. And it hasn't just been in the pass rushing area either. He's also been going after the run and stopping the run a lot better. And guess what? The 49ers played the run so much better this week. And why is it that they played better? Well, I think they did do better when it came to run fits, keeping those holes a little bit tighter, making sure those defensive tackles didn't get washed or pushed out of the way. Jordan Elliott was back, which definitely helped the 49ers rotation at defensive line. But another reason why is the 49ers were able to get a significant lead. You go up 2 scores and you change the way a team thinks about playing. They might get away from the running game. Now, we've seen the Bears go back to it in the third quarter, but if you watch the second quarter, it's a lot of throwing the football with Caleb Williams as they're trying to make some plays and catch up to the 49ers. As soon as you go up 3 scores, all of a sudden that pressure really starts to resonate with the offense, and they're trying to make extra plays, and they can't really do it. So this was a typical and tailor-made 49ers win. These are how the 49ers did big wins last season. They would get up, they would take away your running game because you can't use that time, and then they would go ahead and make the plays they need to make on the back end, usually generated turnovers. Guess what the 49ers generated in this one? Turnover. Caleb Williams throws the ball backwards. Turnover. Good job by Evan Anderson getting on it. So that's the kind of thing you see. But whenever you can hold DeAndre Swift and the Chicago Bears rushing attack to 68 yards in the game, that is phenomenal, especially when you have a mobile quarterback. What do the 49ers often struggle against? Mobile quarterbacks. What do? They add on. And yeah, Caleb Williams gets sacked a lot. Coming into this game, he had been sacked 49 times this season, most in the NFL, and it ain't close. 49ers sacked him 6 times in this football game. Consistency. They doubled up what I thought. I said the 49ers are going to get at least 3 sacks. They got 6. So it was a good showing for the 49ers against the run offense of Chicago Bears, who that wasn't bad. They were averaging 109 yards per game on the ground with DeAndre Swift and company. And how about this? The 49ers forced the Chicago Bears to just 40% on third down. Some of those late in the game definitely inflated that number, but anywhere around 40, you like it to be 35%, but anywhere around 40, and you feel like you've done a really good job as a football team. So 49ers do a great job in this game. Lots of players to be stocked up about. I think there's a lot to be happy about, and it's a quick turnaround from 49ers to Rams, so they're going to have to take and hopefully roll over this momentum. Rams coming off a big victory as well. The good news for the 49ers, you're at home. You're against a familiar foe. You know what they like to do, but you got to go out and execute. I think the 49ers saw yesterday, what happens when you do what you're supposed to do. And when you do that and you execute at such a high level, you're going to be able to make those plays that you need to make, and you can win football games. So I think we saw who the 49ers could be. I don't think it was perfect. I think there's even more they could get better at, but I think this is more in line with who we believe the 49ers are. And now they've got to go do it against a division rival. And if they do, and they get back to 500, this thing is going to get really interesting. So thanks for joining me for Stock Up 49ers. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. If you're listening on audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network, please give it a 5-star rating. This episode was brought to you by Bet Online. The game starts here. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, stay safe. Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.